So I'm showing you something that
Mm.
I'm saying, okay, is there the awareness that's present? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And now just check with you, the awareness, to see
Mm.
if you are unhappy. Is the awareness unhappy? Yes or no?
No.
Is the awareness suffering? Yes or no?
No.
So right now, you are aware of yourself.
Yeah.
All is well. Now, Mr. Mind has some opinions and a story, and you start paying attention to the mind more than yourself. And there's interest, and there's belief, and this belief and this interest sustains the story of the mind. It sustains the activity of suffering. So even if you aren't believing that you are completely free of suffering already right now, I'll meet you halfway and say, can you at least admit that there's a part of you that is free from suffering? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that you've admitted that there's a part of you that's free from suffering, all I'm saying now is just be aware of that. Because
And
every time you're aware of yourself,
mm.
you are free of suffering. Every time you are aware of yourself, you are happy. Every time you're aware of yourself, you are peaceful.
And I'm aware that the grouping has started again now.
What is it? Grouping. What is that?
Gripping
Oh,
at the
gripping.
base. It's
Gripping.
got tight again now.
Oh,
First it was relaxed.
so something wants to
Is
destroy.
now gripping.
So don't give it meaning. Don't give it this meaning of gripping and now it's crawling. And of course, that's happening, but I want you to just see it like this. That's the distraction. Forget giving it all these names and giving it these meanings and giving it these type of like scientific terms and all of this stuff. Forget all of that. Let's just call it distraction. So now I just said, be aware of yourself. And as soon as you start being aware of yourself, you start noticing, Mr. Distraction showed up. Attention now is going to Mr. Distraction. Now this seems to be disappeared because your attention is going to the distraction. This is the habit. I'm showing you this is the habit that your attention is habitually going to the distraction, and it's devaluing that freedom that I just showed you. It's ignoring the freedom. It's ignoring the happiness and the love and the peace and the freedom. The love, the peace, the freedom, the happiness is actually ever present, which means that if you're not experiencing it, it's just a simple, you're ignoring it.
And I'm aware also why it's doing it is because that peace and happiness isn't the mind's version of happiness that it seeks.
Correct. That's what I was telling you about the projections of what these things are, what enlightenment is, what happiness is, what love is. Maybe happiness looks like getting everything that you want and your hands are going up and down like this. Maybe love looks like being in a nice intimate relationship and a husband and kids. Maybe your projection of peace looks like a hammock and overlooking the ocean. Maybe your projection of freedom looks like having so much money that you can just be on an island all by yourself or a vacation every month. But these are just your ideas of happiness, love, peace, and freedom. They're not actually it. Your mind knows nothing of happiness, love, peace, and freedom.
And that's why the mind dismisses it, because it's not matching up to
100%.
it doesn't think, it just thinks, oh yeah, okay, I'm aware. Yes, I can feel the stillness. but it's dismissed quickly because it has an idea of what it wants.
100%. The mind's not even aware. It's only you, the awareness, that's aware. So the mind knows nothing of the experience of yourself. The mind can't experience you. When you are experiencing yourself, it's you experiencing yourself. At best, the mind comes in after and has a bunch of opinions about you, but it's never, ever experienced you.
Mm.
How can you value something that never experienced yourself? How can you value those opinions? If I say I've honestly, I've never been to the UK. And then if I say UK's crap, all of their stuff is small, the girls are ugly, how can you actually value what I'm saying if I've never experienced the UK? You can't take me seriously. What I'm saying, don't take your mind serious. It has nothing, it has nothing true to say.
It's like a fan, the mind. One, you know, those fans that keep going round and round and round. And even after you unplug it, it takes a while to stop going round and round.
Yeah.
Just the mind is just a habit. I've heard that said before, that it's a habit.
It is. Suffering is a habit. Mine doesn't like hearing it. What do you mean?
Yeah, I've just there's a Buddhist. No, I was going to say to you, there's a quote. I think a Buddhist quote. It says, "Pain is inevitable. Suffering is an option."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, physical pain is inevitable with a body, but the suffering, the story of the pain, that's optional because that makes the pain even worse.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the pain is about the body, but the suffering is about the mind, right? So if I go walk back there and I stub my foot in the couch or the chair, I'm going to experience pain, but I will not suffer that stubbing of the foot. I'm not going to be telling a story about, oh, I stubbed my foot, I broke my toe, I can't work tomorrow, I'm not going to make enough money the next day. Oh my God, how am I going to put food on the table with my family? And that's suffering.
Yeah, because with the mind, it takes you to the worst case scenario. It'll make you homeless within like a second.
So there's there's stubbing of the toe. That's it. It ends there. I don't storytell because the telling of the story is suffering. If I tell a story about what happened, I'm suffering.
So I just need to, I don't know if focus is the right word, just stay with the awareness, the rest. And then I intuitively feel, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, it's by staying with that, giving it attention, it's going to get bigger or stronger. Then these things will, or do these things get weaker, or does this get stronger?
It's more of a loss of interest. It's like you lose interest in suffering. Right now, suffering, it's a juicy story. And that's why I'm saying, like, I know, like, you are really immersed in this story. You're so interested in it. That's why I said you're like, you love the story. And so to go cold turkey and I'm saying, let me grab that book from you, that's not working. That's not working. The only thing that's going to make you lose interest in the suffering is, well, you could say two things. Is one, you experience some severe suffering. Two, is you find something better. I'm trying to show you something better. Right? It's kind of like, maybe as a child, you got a bike and you rode the bike and you love the bike, got you from point A to B. But as soon as you got a car, you got a driver's license, well, you lost interest in the bike because there's something superior. It's like that. It's like that.
Yeah, I think it's when the identity is in suffering, because with some people, I feel without their suffering, there's no identity then. That's why I find sometimes with older people, like you meet at the bus stop, I don't even know them, and they start telling me their medical history and a hip replacement and all the operations they've had done, and you can see that it's part of their identity.
Hmm.
Um,
It is their identity.
and maybe part of my identity's still mixed in the suffering story.
Yeah, well, like the identity is suffering. What you are doesn't need an identity. What you are has no identity. It's identityless. An identity is something that you have picked up, you have created. You're maintaining an identity. The identity is constantly changing. The identity and the suffering are one and the same. What are you before the identity? An identity, the root word, forget what it is called, like idiom or something like that. It means to make the same. It's implying that there's two, to make the same something.
Yeah, to make the same as, I think it is. Yeah.
But to make the same as what? That means that you believe yourself to be the same as the body mind. That's what you're taking yourself to be.
Yeah.
So the root identity is I, the body mind. That's the main identity. There's multiple identities. The business owner, the girl, the woman, the mother, the daughter, the homeowner, the civilian, the citizen, like these, so many identities. So there's not just one identity, but this main identity, like this core identity. Just like there's many beliefs, but there's a core belief. There's a core belief that all of the other beliefs are basically supporting. They all start with this one belief. All of these identities start with this one identity. Can you be a mother? Can you be identified as a mother if you are not identified as the body mind? No. So it's this body mind that's the core identity. It's the belief in being this body mind that's the core belief. This is where I say, like, we just explore this because it's the only belief, it's the only identity that needs to be explored. It'll take forever going through all these identities, all of these beliefs. That's psychology stuff.
Well, that would be like pruning a tree rather
Totally.
than cutting.
And that's I've done a post like that that's saying that I don't want to prune that tree. I'm lazy. Let's just go right. Let's just have a look at the root. Right. And that's the thing. So it's seeing this very clearly that's what I'm showing you when and it's good that you're honest like that. And you just said that you said, well, I said, well, what I forget the question. I said, do you feel like I'm forcing you? There's no beliefs. I'm not saying here, believe this and take this and accept this and trying to ram something down your throat. It's not. And I said, like, do you feel any of that? And you're like, no, but I'm feeling something when you say, ask the question. I just asked the question. And you said, when you ask that question, are you suffering? And I'm aware of the awareness that is not suffering. That feels true, but it also doesn't feel true because there's the mind that's saying that there is suffering. And then I said, okay, well, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. And I said, well, let's look at that. Isn't that something that's being triggered? And you go, yeah, and then you explained it, that it's the mind that then is talking about the suffering and has some opinions and says this is bypassing and this is wrong and it's not that simple. And I said, well, what is saying that it's not that simple? Because it's too simple for the mind.
Yeah, it is. And the mind's got its own projection of what happiness and peace and love looks like. And because it's not fitting that, the mind's dismissing.
Yeah. I'm not here
That.
trying to make you run through hoops or something like that, jump through hoops. Because I'm just showing you, right? Let's
Yeah.
just check with yourself, because you say, I am suffering. You say, I am not happy. And I say, well, let's explore that. And then I said, check with yourself. I say, are you suffering? And you said, no. I said, are you unhappy? And you said, no. And you're checking with yourself. But when you check with your mind is saying that you are unhappy, and the mind is saying you are suffering. So on one hand, when you check with the mind, you're getting different information than when you are checking with yourself. But what are you checking? The question is, are you suffering? So why are you referencing something other than yourself? Why are you asking somebody else? Why don't you just check with yourself? Why would you, if I say, are you suffering? You're saying, hold on, let me phone a friend. And I'm saying, why do you need to phone a friend? I'm asking you about you. I say, are you unhappy? Hold on, let me go to the library and let me get a book. Why do you need to outsource this knowledge? It's the knowledge of yourself. Check with yourself.
It's because the mind feels very, when I said I was in that witnessing and the mind fell away, mind feels very close now to, feels very, like you said, it gets subtler and subtler, and so it feels very close now to the exploration. It's like the mind's just waiting there, like a dog. And because even when you said, are you unhappy? And I said, no. And then I thought you were going to ask. And then the mind sort of version is, well, even if I said, yes, the awareness is happy, the mind sort of like, well, this isn't, to the mind, it's not happiness, because silence and stillness, like you said, the mind doesn't know silence and stillness. That's the source of the mind, and it can't go there. So it has its own. So I think there's still investment in this mind that feels that it's got closer now, because I'm seeing, I think, more deeply. So the mind's, it's amped up, it's game as well.
Yeah.
It's very sneaky. It's like.
Well, I want you to see where it stops, because it's reached its limit. It's reached its limit. So right now, there's the awareness that's present. And it's you that's the awareness that is present.
Yeah.
Now, is the awareness that you are suffering? Yes or no?
No.
And you're checking with a thought right now? Or no thought?
No thought.
So you're not checking the mind.
No.
Now just experience this awareness that is still and silent. You are present, and the mind is absent. Can you confirm?
Yeah.
The mind didn't go on this exploration. It stopped at the start. It never went. You're exploring yourself. It's you that's exploring yourself.